graduated from Coney in 1963 and was a standout in all sports. He entered the Army in 1967, basic training and advanced infantry training at Fort Jackson and Fort Polk. Gary was selected to attend the first non-commissioned officer academy class at Fort Benning and graduated as a sergeant. He attended airborne school at Fort Benning and was awarded the parachute badge. Prior to being shipped to Vietnam, he was assigned to a basic training company to instruct inductees. Sergeant Burns was assigned to the 101st Airborne Division at Camp Eagle, Vietnam. His unit was sent into the Chau Valley to clear and destroy the North Vietnamese Army located there, preparing for a major offensive. By the third day, the main force of the North Vietnamese Army was located, and the enemy stronghold was attacked by Gary's battalion. Sergeant Burns was severely wounded by an airburst from a mortar round directly over his head while leading his squad. During the firefight, Sergeant Burns was isolated from his squad and the unit medic, requiring him to administer first aid to himself. By applying a tourniquet to his leg, he was able to stay alive until he could be evacuated. Sergeant Burns was flown by helicopter to his base camp, where he was stabilized and then evacuated to the hospital ship offshore. He eventually ended up at Fort Devens, where he spent 6 months undergoing several operations and rehabilitation. Upon his release from the hospital and medical retirement from the Army, Gary married Carolyn and returned to Maine. Gary went to work for the Disabled American Veterans as a service officer, helping other disabled veterans. During the 30 years he spent with the DAV, he helped thousands of veterans to get the treatment and care that they needed. Some are present here today. Gary's accomplishments are too numerous to mention all of, but I will just mention some of them, some of the highlights. He was a member of the Augusta City Council, inducted in the Maine Baseball Hall of Fame, a leader in the Capital Area Recreation Area, developing 10 athletic fields and horseshoe courts. The facilities are maintained and improved, which has resulted in its being the finest of its kind in the state. For the past 12 years, he has been the president of the DAV, American Veterans National Service Foundation, which oversees the over $180 million, which provides assistance to veterans utilizing the facilities throughout the United States. Gary and his wife Carolyn administer a scholarship fund in memory of their daughter, Chris Ann. Through an annual basketball tournament, money is raised to provide aid to deserving students. Currently, over 20 young women have been helped by this fund. And now I'd like to call upon Norma Wing to present the cane to Gary.